Hello, all. Greetings from Droplet Wealth Advisors. Welcome to this week's podcast where we'll see whether investment is important or savings is important. So, it all started with one of us getting a WhatsApp forward. The forward had uh, the list of crises the world has faced in last 20 years, and there was a footnote on the forward, and the footnote said that despite all the challenges, the stock market has given positive returns, and hence the stock market is above all of us, and no matter what, we should invest. We agree with the image but with pinch of salt, because of course in last 20 years there have been so many crises, and despite the crisis we have had a positive return. But the fact is the market does not move in an upward linear curve. It's not like you invested 10,000 rupees this year, next year it has become 12,000 rupees, and the next year it has become 14,000 rupees. No, the market does not move like that, because market has its own share of volatility, where if you invest 10,000 rupees, it becomes 12,000 rupees, then suddenly it becomes 9,000, then it goes on to become 14,000, and then finally it comes back to your investment amount of 10,000 rupees. So there's a lot of volatility that happens in market all the time. And then there comes a boring consolidation phase. So where what happens is, if you invest 10,000 rupees, it remains 10,000 for a long period of time before it goes up or down. And then there comes a very dangerous phase called the bull phase. We call it very dangerous because in the bull phase the market is going up so aggressively that your investment doubles in 3 months or 6 months. And what it does, it makes you feel very greedy. And what you think is like you have found some secret sauce to make money from the stock markets, and you start thinking that you can become financially independent by investing here. So what you do is you put all your savings into the stock market at the peak of a bull phase. And what happens after a bull phase comes a bear phase, where the market corrects very aggressively, right? And all the money that you put in, it is just thrown out of the window because of the correction. And what happens to such investors is they simply lose hope from the markets, and they leave the market once and for all. So of course the market is above all of us, because it is teaching you the lessons of patience, the lessons of being disciplined, to not be very greedy. And if you're not learning these lessons, it kicks you out. And if you're a good student, it gives you a very good return on your investment. Now at this point, some of you might think that we are exaggerating. True, because exaggeration is good if it kind of alerts you to the complexities of the stock markets. Now that you're alert, let us get to the moral of the podcast, where we say that investment is important but not before savings. Savings is the first step to investments. Now some of you might get confused that investment and saving, aren't they supposed to be the same? No, if they were same, we couldn't have had two different words for that. So what is investment? Investment is basically something that helps you grow, where savings is something which saves you from tight situation. All right, so investment and saving, they are not one and the same. So what we recommend to the investors, or the clients or prospective investors, is that before they start investing into something, they should ensure that they have their savings in place. And below are the savings that they should have in place, and they should have it in the same order that we are going to present it to you, right? First thing is paying off the credit card overdues. Now we know a lot of people manage their expenses, monthly expenses, through the credit card. But some of us, what we do is we simply roll over the expense to the next month, and we don't pay off our credit card dues. So if you are one of them, we suggest that the first saving that you have to do is to ensure that you are not having any credit card overdues. And in case you are having, you pay off them, and use your credit card only to pay the monthly expenses, and use it very wisely, right? That's the first saving that you have to do. The second saving that you have to do is, if there is a personal loan that you have, ensure to prepay it, close it, right? And the third saving that we want you to make do is to pay off the excess housing loan EMI that you have. Now what happens is, because when we buy a house, we get so excited, and we buy a house which is so big and beyond our budget. That is primarily because you are getting very easy loans. Now once you have got the loan, you start paying the EMI, and the EMI is so big that it takes a majority portion of your monthly savings, monthly income away from you, right? So the next thing that we suggest is, people you who have huge housing loan EMI, you have to reduce it and bring it to 40% of your monthly income. right? So people who have housing loan EMI, which is more than 40% of your monthly income, you should start working on reducing it and bringing it to the level of 40 percentage of your monthly income, right? The next savings that you want, that we want you to do, is to save up for your annual expenses. So you have your car insurance, you have your school kids school fees, then you have your annual vacations, then you have your health insurance premiums. So there are many annual expenses that happen. So what you have to do next is to set aside a portion of money from your monthly income to meet all these annual expenses. And finally, once you have ensured that above 4 is done, fifth thing, you should work on building an emergency fund, right? So this emergency fund should be 3 times to six times or 9 times of your monthly expenses, which include your EMIs, rent, utility bill, food, fuel expenses, or any other expenses which is a standard in your monthly budget. Now that is the final step you have to do. So just to refresh our memories, before anybody starts investing or starts locking up his money in an investment, he has to ensure that the below 5 savings are done in the same manner. First is to pay off your credit card overdues. Second is to pay off any personal loan that you have. Third is to pay off the excess housing loan EMI that you have. Fourth is to save up for your annual expenses. Fifth and final is to build an emergency fund, which is 3 to 12 months of your monthly expense, right? Now once you have crossed all these 5 savings, now it is time for you to think about investing your money. Now before we talk about investing, we have to understand what investing is. So investing is basically locking up your money in an asset class that will first ensure safety of the capital, like what Warren Buffett says. Rule 1 is to never lose your money, and rule 2 is to not forget the rule 1. So the first thing that an investment should assure you is safety of capital. Second thing that we should expect from our investment is a return which is higher than the rate of inflation. So if the inflation is 4%, we should ensure that the investment is at least giving us 6% or 7% return. At the same time, if the inflation is 10%, we should ensure that the investment is giving us at least 12 to 15% returns, right? So with that, we believe that buying a life insurance policy, or being a part of jet, or speculating in shares and cryptos, none of them they qualify as investment. Neither doing an investment without having these savings in place, they also do not qualify as investment, right? So now that you have heard the podcast, I'm sure you're smarter than what you were at the beginning of the podcast. And with the new year around the corner, we wish that in the new year, when you get such forwards, you will handle it more judiciously, and you will start the new year a little more wise, a little more prepared, and a little more hopeful. So here's Droplet wishing all the listeners a very happy, prosperous, and wealthy New Year 2022. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back. Bye bye.